The Xbox 360 could be back on PC. A very cool thing has come out on the internet, and we will take a look at that. There's a huge sale on the Xbox Store if you're looking to pick up some games this weekend at a steep discount. Starfield, Bethesda, more information on what potentially could be happening this year. Will there be more content? We have Death Stranding 2 news, the first look at the next Battlefield with Vincent Pella at the helm, looking like it's going to be pretty good. That plus other things we will be talking about today. But before we continue, if you are new here, hit the subscribe. I see many of you who are watching are not subscribed, so I would appreciate it if you enjoy this content to hit the subscribe button, share the video, like the video, send this video to as many people as possible. Let's jump in here and let's talk about the Xbox 360, something you thought we probably wouldn't be talking about here in 2025, but this is a very cool feature that will, I think, be used for game preservation in some way if it doesn't get shut down. That is, there's lots of games on the 360 that you just can't play right now that have been delisted, can't find a physical copy. The digital copy is impossible to get, like, because they're just not available. And the 360 itself had tons of great content that people want to be able to play now and for years to come. Well, there's this new recompilation tool that has popped up online. It is an unofficial compilation tool, but apparently it's allowing you to play Xbox 360 games that have now been delisted on PC, or basically any game on PC from the 360 era. Here it is. This is called the Xenon Recomp, and it converts 360 executables into C++ code, which can then be recompiled for any platform. And in theory, this results in a PC port for any Xbox 360 game that is out there, including the delisted ones. And to me, that is the most important thing, because there are plenty of games, especially from the Xbox Arcade, which was a really awesome thing back on the Xbox 360, where you would just jump in these quick, fun gameplay games. You had leaderboards, you'd go online. It was great, but you can't play a lot of those anymore because they have been delisted. This is something that I think is going to come in and be able to potentially revitalize that. So it is very cool. One of the first games that we are seeing happen here is Sonic Unleashed. Is showing up here on PC, which is interesting because that game never actually did come to the PC before. So exciting stuff here. My biggest concern with this is, will this be shut down? Will there be legal avenues taken to shut it down, things like that? It's not Nintendo. Nintendo goes hard over this stuff, and a lot of these games I probably isn't worth the time, effort, and money to try and shut it down. So I would bet we will see this thing do decently well at keeping games from the 360 that you previously couldn't play, being able to get up there and check them out. So awesome stuff here. I just really hope, I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope Xbox reopens that backwards compatibility program. They shut it down relatively shortly after the launch of the Xbox Series X and S. My assumption is they just didn't want to put any more resources and time into it because there was not much business gain from it. There was not much money they were making off of it, if any. So they probably just thought they have to reevaluate and divert resources to other places. But there's still a lot of 360 games that you can play on your Series X and S, but there's a lot that you can't. And I would love for them to open it back up and just kind of see what other games they could put on there, especially from the fact that they own Activision Blizzard now. They have a huge catalog of games that should all end up being backwards compatible on the Series X and S if they can get licenses worked out and everything. So I hope that will happen. But as of right now, this is a tool I think that will be useful for game preservation going forward, which is my biggest concern with these older games kind of just disappearing. All right, if you're looking for some big sales on Xbox games, there is a sale going on this weekend, and they're discounted by 90% or more. So I love these sales. I always check them out. They always get me. This is the thing. I have Game Pass. I own physical games. I have a huge digital catalog, and I'm always buying more stuff, especially when they do go on sale, because there are some pretty good ones here that you can get 90% off, 95% off. Battlefield 5, Back for Blood, Battlefield 2042, Batman Return to Arkham, Gotham Knights is like $6 now, which is pretty crazy. If you haven't played that one yet, it was decent. It was obviously not the best DC game, but it was okay. The Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens Deluxe, like super cheap. You go down here, there's just some great games here to check out. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, $4. but you can't really beat that. And then there's some more deals here reduced by 85% and 80%. I love these sales. I love just seeing games are there. I always pick more up. My digital backlog and catalog continues to grow. And my hope is that a lot of these games will eventually be playable anywhere. PC, Xbox, the Play Anywhere service will just be implemented into them. Eventually, when they release the Xbox handheld, I'll be able to download them directly on to that as well. So that's why building up that digital catalog is very enticing. But I still like my physical games for the games that I just really want to own on my shelf. Starfield, are we getting any more content for Starfield this year? Looks like that we are, or something's going to be announced for it. We got the Shattered Space DLC at the end of last year. I was not the biggest fan of it. I played through it. The base game was just significantly better, in my opinion, than Shattered Space. It wasn't what I was hoping for. And I hope they can redeem themselves with the next DLC. Just better story, better missions that aren't just fetch quests, basically, and kind of boring. Hope that will be the case. Well, it looks like there is something planned here. This was found on Twitter. And Starfield says that there's a lot of exciting things planned for the game going forward. They confirm here that they are working on Starfield content. They're working on exciting things for Starfield, whatever that means. The game's last notable update added Xbox achievements friendly creations, and the developer plans to drop yearly expansions like Shattered Space. So specifically, this is what they said. We know you're eager for an update, and we truly appreciate your passion for Starfield. The team has been hard at work, and while we're not ready to share specific details just yet, we have a lot of exciting things planned for the game this year that we can't talk about when the time is right. We're always listening and taking your feedback to heart. Thanks for being a part of this journey with us. My best bet is that we're going to see something from Starfield at the summer showcase, and we're going to get some sort of new content by the end of this year. I'm trying to figure out the second half of the year release schedule for Xbox now, with Fable being delayed until 2026. Gears is still in the rumors there. I have a feeling there will be some sort of Gears content by the end of this year. But what else will be there? You have to ask. What other games? I mean, Outer Worlds 2, that's 2 games. I would say there's probably one more thing that's going to be thrown in for the second half of this year. Maybe it's a Starfield expansion content or something else that we just have not heard about yet. So we'll see, but there's still lots to come, I think, after June from Xbox first parties. Death Stranding 2, if you're a fan of this series, I was not a fan of the first game. I don't really have any interest in playing Death Stranding 2 because I just couldn't finish the first one. I found it just way too boring in terms of the gameplay. But there are a lot of people that love this game. They love Kojima, and they think this game is just absolute genius. But it looks like we have more information about what is coming from this game. The release date, more information seems imminent, including there being a collector's edition. We have this here from WCCF text saying the Death Stranding 2 on the Beach release date announcement should be imminent, as information about the game's physical editions, including a pricey collector's edition, started surfacing online ahead of pre-order openings. And this is from the very, very reliable leaker, Bill Bilkun, who generally gets their stuff correct. And they have information about the physical edition and the collector's edition in terms of pricing. So they say, besides the standard edition, which will launch at 80, I believe this is euros and $70. A collector's edition will also launch in North America and Europe for $300 US, which is very, very pricey. I hope there is some good stuff in there. I mean, that statue better be pretty big, or whatever they do add in there better be pretty high quality for this thing to be $300. The collector's editions these days are getting out of hand in terms of the pricing, and I'm kind of hypocritical when I say that because I still purchase collector's editions when they are pricey. So they get me because I want to be a part of like having that statue with a game that I really want to play. But the worst thing about them right now, but I think Bethesda's done this better than anybody, is that they're taking discs out of a lot of these collector's editions. But what Bethesda has been doing is they've been putting in these nice collectible pieces with the codes etched on it. Specifically, if you look at the Starfield collector's edition that had the cred stick with the code on it. Then you had the Indiana Jones collector's edition that had the code etched on a collectible piece. So I hope that's what they end up doing going forward if they're going to start taking discs out of games, because they still put like steel books in there. And for me, it's like, for what reason if there is no disc? Some people like collecting the steel books. I'm not one of them who likes collecting a steel book with nothing in it, but that's just the way I see it. We'll see what happens here. There'll probably be a relatively nice big statue in this, and maybe some extra digital content that you're going to be getting with Death Stranding 2. Okay, let's jump over here. Let's talk the next Battlefield, Battlefield 6. I'm very excited for Battlefield 6. The main reason I'm excited for it is because I liked them back in the day. They fell off a bit for me, but now we have Vince Zampella at the head making this game, directing it, making sure that this thing is going to come out good. And he has really not missed with any of the stuff he has put out. And now we're seeing some screenshots and gameplay leaks after the playtest. I'll start off here and just kind of go over what this entire playtest is and some more details with Battlefield 6. First of all, we do have this here from Kami13 on Twitter saying new details on the next Battlefield game coming by April 2026. New movement options include crouch, sprint, combat dive, and landing roll. We also have a recoil system that has been adjusted for realism to make different weapons feel unique. 60 hertz tick rate, and playtests have started. Now, with those playtests, we are seeing some awesome stuff, some leaks, gameplay trailers, and also just kind of like the UI and everything that is going on here. But one of the coolest things we did see is the destruction in this game. It looks like they're going full on the destruction, which is exciting. So if you take a look here, this is the video, and you can see running through just some gameplay. But then there's another piece here of somebody shooting down the wall with a rocket launcher, and just the absolute awesomeness in the destruction of this game that I think is going to make the gameplay extremely dynamic. So you can see here, this is from Modern Warzone on Twitter, rocket launcher right into the side of this building, and then boom, the massive destruction that opens up just brand new gameplay elements. You could have people in there, you could probably jump up there, and it just seems like it is extremely cool. Maybe if you get hit by the rubble coming down, you're going to end up killing your enemy. So very cool stuff there. This is what I'm looking for in this next upcoming Battlefield, is just great, dynamic, fun gameplay, lots of destruction like this, and bringing it back to what Battlefield was. And then it hopefully will be able to compete with the other FPSs out there better than it has been lately. Be able to compete with Call of Duty, which will push both to try and be better. Full confidence here with Vince Zampella at the helm. The other thing, though, that coming out of EA as well, that seemingly now is extremely sad, because I would have loved to see this be remade or bring back a new one into the series, would be Titanfall 3. Everybody wants it. It does seem like. The issue is Titanfall 2 just did not sell very well. The series doesn't have as big of a fan base in terms of people actually went up, bought it, and played it comparatively to what you hear the clamoring online for, which is to bring the game back. Well, it looks like it's not happening anytime soon, as Respawn themselves have canceled another unannounced multiplayer FPS. Now, we don't know what it is. We don't know what game this was, but my best assumption here is that they were looking at bringing Titanfall 3 back, and now it is canceled. It says here that it appears Respawn Entertainment has quietly canceled another game project. The news was shared via LinkedIn by the former executive assistant and production coordinator, Emily Evans. And it says here, the unannounced incubation project I was a part of for the past year was canceled this week. So I am joining the group of extremely talented and kind people in the games industry searching for a new role. And again, we don't know what it is, but it does say here, the studio had been hiring people with significant professional experience designing multiplayer FPS experience, and the team was hinting that it would have been a multiplayer first-person shooter game, which is not surprising considering that the studio had built Titanfall and then later Apex Legends. So you would guess they would be trying to potentially jump back into that rather than making a brand new game, because Titanfall 3 was something that people wanted. And I think if they would have announced that, it would have done decently well. It would have done better than Titanfall 2. And Jeff Grubb said last year the studio was indeed developing another game in the franchise. So that's what my best guess is. We can't be 100% certain. Maybe they had another game in the works and that one got canceled. They're still working on Titanfall, but I would be absolutely shocked if it wasn't Titanfall 3, which is just very disappointing as somebody who is a big fan of the game. All right, two more things here. Ubisoft, a new project leaked, a project that was canceled or it's in the incubation period. We don't know what it's going to turn into, but it has leaked. There is a video on YouTube that was put out, and This is for Project U, and it's just the trailer of it, an anime trailer. It looks like it is a PvE style of game, a first-person shooter, a PvPvE style of game. And you can go check it out on YouTube. I think it actually is still up there. There weren't very many reviews when I looked at it. It looks pretty cool. Like it had like a decent aesthetic to it, I think. And it's something that probably was just a fast-paced extraction style of shooter. But this is Project U. And they say internally called Pathfinder was set to be a new take on PvPvE, officially being announced in September of 2022, was a new kind of session-based cooperative shooter. And then instead of canceling the game in its entirety, it's understood the game went back into an internal incubation team because of Ubisoft's belief that PvE games could still be successful. And they cited games like Helldivers 2 as being a particularly successful PvE game. So we don't know what Project U will turn into or if it will eventually get canceled. But if you kind of want to see what their idea was, the video is there. I'm not going to play it. I would be not shocked if it does get the DMCA and gets a takedown in the next day or so, or by the time you're watching this video, if it's already taken down. But if you do want to check it out, you can go ahead and find it. Then we have here, to finish things off, Split Fiction doing very well. Not surprising. Joseph Fares' next game getting great reviews. It Takes Two was a game that he created, one game of the year. I'm very excited to play this one. I think I've played every single one of his games. Brothers, A Way Out, It Takes Two, and then now we'll have Split Fiction here, which I'm going to be ending up playing. They're phenomenal games. It brings back that couch co-op. The gameplay mechanics are always good. The stories are always interesting, and it's doing very well right now, sitting at 197,000 concurrent players on Steam on day one. That's just Steam. I'm sure this game is doing very well on all of the other platforms. It's the number 2 highest player count of all time for any EA release on Steam, only behind Apex Legends. And It Takes Two peaked at 71,000. So it's doing that much better. That's just probably based off of the pedigree that people know now that come out of Hazelight and come from Joseph Fares. So great stuff there. Like I said, I'm going to be playing it. I'm going to end it there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting the subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff. It really does help out the channel and help it grow, especially if you've made it all the way to the end and you aren't subscribed. I would appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.